Aryan Khan's bail order has been released today, and it says that there is no evidence of a conspiracy between Aryan Khan, Arbaz Merchant and Munmund Dhamecha to commit drug-related offences. The Bombay High Court in its order that was released has also said that nothing objectionable was found in the WhatsApp conversations between them. The order read, there's hardly any positive evidence on record to convince this court that all the accused persons with a common intention agreed to commit an unlawful act. Remember, no drugs were found in Aryan Khan's possession, while the quantity recovered from Merchant and Dhamecha was small under the NDTV Act, the court noted.
The learned judge, being convinced that this was a case for bail, tossed the file and granted bail immediately. So therefore, my contention is that if this order could have been granted in the lower court, Aryan and others would not have suffered jail. I told the trial court that since Aryan has been granted bail, it is for you to now consider and grant bail to other people. If this judicial exercise of power could have been made by the trial judge on the first day, all these boys would have never suffered any incarceration.
The tripod test is either he's a flight risk, he's hampering with, he's likely to tamper with the evidence or hamper the investigation. This is the tripod test. If you satisfy this test, you should ordinarily be released on bail. Prosecutors invariably come in to argue the merits of the case, and that's the reason why I talked about the issue of gravity, because they argue the merits of the case at the stage of bail as if an accused is already guilty of the crime that he's committed. So very often you hear arguments which are to be conducted at a much later stage in a proceeding once all the evidence is gathered, is argued at the initial stage of bail. And that is something which I think needs to be modified.
Well, let's go across to NDTV Saurabh Gupta now, who joins us from the High Court. And Saurabh, it's absolutely shocking to see what the bail order now says about how there's nothing to establish any sort of conspiracy. We already knew that Aryan Khan was not found with drugs. So the question really is, why was his bail refused by two lower courts, and why did he have to spend 22 days in jail?
Well, the first time around the bail arguments were heard by a magistrate's court. It was, rejected on the grounds of maintainability, which means that the court was, convinced that it was not the appropriate court to actually hear the arguments, obviously, and therefore it went to the Sessions Court. The Sessions Court, of course, rejected it on merit, saying the WhatsApp chats that the NCB produced as evidence did amount to a conspiracy. Now let's come to the High Court order. What does the High Court order say about these same very WhatsApp chats? It says, after having gone through the WhatsApp chats extracted from applicant and accused number 1, which is Aryan Khan in this case, nothing objectionable could be noticed to suggest that applicants number 1 and 2, Aryan Khan and Arbaz Merchant, or all three applicants along with the other accused persons in agreement, have meeting of minds and have hatched conspiracy in committing the offence in question. So the court is saying the WhatsApp chats don't substantiate the charge of conspiracy. What is the evidence that the Narcotics Control Bureau has? Well, it said it seized drugs from other people, and the WhatsApp chats seem to suggest a conspiracy between all these people. That argument has been effectively rejected by the Bombay High Court while granting bail. And this, of course, is a question for investigative authorities, as Mr. Amit Desai pointed out, and of course, as Mr. Satish Mane Shinde pointed out. This is something that the lower judiciary and investigative authorities and lawyers arguing for investigative authorities have to consider, that you have to collect all the evidence before putting these sections, applying these sections on accused. You arrest someone, you get a WhatsApp chat and you say he's involved in a conspiracy. That's clearly not the way investigation should work. This has happened in cases earlier handled by the NCB as well. And the Bombay High Court have made similar judgments in those cases as well. And once again, the court saying there's nothing to prove conspiracy at least, and therefore Aryan Khan should have gotten bail.
All right, and we do know that the entire handling of this case by the NCB is also now under a probe. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for joining us with all those latest developments.